Hello, welcome back. This is Prasop again on BCR tutorials. Now we are into BCR tutorial number 2, cell metabolism. Okay, what is cell metabolism? Cell metabolism is a set of chemical processes happening within our cells that are necessary for maintaining life. This was taken from the medical dictionary. A more simplified version is this is the process of taking in food nutrients and converting them into energy called ATP, or adenosine triphosphate. Now what happens is after digestion, the nutrients get into the bloodstream and they flow into, and at the end they enter the cells and they get metabolized into ATP. So this process that takes place within the cells is what we refer to as cell metabolism. You need to know a little more on that, especially those who are not medically trained. Now this is a picture of a part of a cell, and you can see the cell membrane here. Now this membrane is it's like a shell. It's an outer covering, and it's semi-permeable, and it's not open all the time. So you need the food nutrients to go in, and the mitochondria inside synthesizes ATP, and after that they need the waste products, etc., to cross out. So that means things can move in and out through this membrane, and the facilitation of this crossing is actually referred to as membrane potential. So the two terminologies you need to know: one is adenosine triphosphate, the other one is membrane potential. So this picture is just to show you what is membrane potential, and we will see more on membrane potential in the next tutorial, where we talk about electricity, and BCR therapy is able to measure these problems with this membrane potential. And when you have an injury, infection or something, the membrane potential changes. So BCR therapy is able to influence the membrane potentials to change back, and you'll see this more on the next tutorial. So we just need to note this now. And okay, we come to the different states of metabolism during an injury. When you have an injury, we know that there has been a disruption to cellular metabolism. Now one extreme of the disruption is called hypermetabolism, where you have excess energy and activity. We know that sometimes when you have an acute injury, when you go for treatment, we apply ice. So these are acute conditions where you have inflammation. The regular treatment is ice or rice. Rice is a rest, ice, compression, elevation. So what we do is we cool down when there is a hypermetabolic condition, and the other side is hypometabolic condition, where there is too little energy and activity, and we apply this happens in chronic conditions. We apply heat to stimulate. So these are the two extremes. In the middle of these two, you have what you call normal metabolism, and this is what BCR therapy regulates to achieve. You may be familiar with this sign. This is the Oriental wisdom of yin and yang. So when you use heat or ice, you try to make a balance between the yin and yang back into harmony. Alright, and this is the end just about cell metabolism, and we will soon be uploading the next one on electricity, and I'll see you back again soon.